All right, here we go. Hey guys, this is AC Cordell back with you from the Creative Worshipers Videocast, and I have with me a special friend of mine today. This is a gentleman that owns a company called Church Nerds, and he's also part of our church here, New Life, and works in our entire media department. And his name is Barry Carter. Barry, welcome to Creative Worshipers Videocast today.
Thank you for having me.
I've asked Barry to come in today because we want to talk a little bit about church media. I know from a lot of the emails that I've received and questions concerning our videocast, church media is a big topic. A lot of churches that I know that have been traditional, that are wanting to go a little bit more contemporary, have asked me a lot of questions about how is the process of going from not having any media to, maybe just, you remember the old days where they had that big old box on the table, and it was like a clear piece of paper, and they would write the words on it, and they'd shine it up on the wall. Remember those days?
Yes.
And we thought we were the bomb diggity back in the day when we had that in our church. But anyways, going from a church where you may not have that, you may just have a hymnal, to going where you have screens on the walls, maybe some lighting, and maybe start to live stream services. One of the things I want to ask you about today is, why do you think churches are moving from that traditional feel into more of a contemporary feel using multimedia?
I think it's all about culture. It's the culture you live in is kind of, so if you look at the Bible, the message has never changed, but the way it's been delivered has changed.
The method, right.
So everything that we do in media is all about, it should all be centered around, one, setting the atmosphere, and two, delivering the message.
Mm-hmm.
Every avenue we take. Why do you need a website? Well, you're taking your message to the world. You're making your message, your inside church culture accessible to your members and their friends and families. They
Sure.
can see it, share it. It's expounding the name. But it's all about culture, and you have to understand your local culture to understand what type of really technology you can get into. Look at Hillsong, New York. You can't put Hillsong, New York here in Huntington.
Sure.
It wouldn't go.
Right.
I don't think that you could take New Life Church and put it in the middle of Manhattan. It's a different type of culture, and it is all based around who's sitting in your crowd, what can help them respond to what is coming out of the pulpit. And not only that, if you're looking for growth, who are you trying to reach?
Right.
You utilize these tools to help with outreach too, into your community. It'll draw people in because people look for certain things when they. And there's another reason for media is people shop for a church online before they ever walk through the door. Mm-hmm. How are you representing your church online? Mm-hmm. I'm a graphic designer. I've been involved in media pretty much for the past 15 years. If I'm going to move to a local town, I want to see how this website works.
Sure. Because
that shows me how they engage in the technology that they've been, and you can do them free and easy and make them really look really nice.
Sure.
It's all about it all goes back to the question is, why do you do that? Well, growth. There's one for growth. Mm-hmm. Two, to better help your message get across. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you have to have every light fixture in the world in your church, but how can the atmosphere be enhanced? Lighting is for enhancing the atmosphere, not for a big white scene show. So it's really a matter of understanding who you have and who you're going after. Because churches should always be growing.
So we have two ways of thinking here. One would be the person who says the Bible tells us to go the highways and byways and compel them to come in. Part of compelling them is having something available that is interesting to them. So I think that's one thing that some people are looking at as they're transitioning from maybe still having a traditional service, but maybe wanting to add a more contemporary service. But then you have the people who are also saying, well, listen, we don't have to have lights and smoke and big screens with words on the screen in order to get people saved. And you know what? They're absolutely right. But I think the point that you mentioned was the culture that they're in. When I was a youth pastor in Miami, we did things to bring students into Miami because we competed with South Beach and Coconut Grove. And so we had a Christian nightclub that played all Christian music, and we did that and had 400 or 500 students that would come in. Now, I couldn't do that in Huntington, West Virginia. I couldn't do that in Cleveland, Tennessee. But I could do that in Miami because that was the culture that and the avenue that we could use to draw people in to get them saved and know Jesus.
From a business owner perspective, as a church, you're selling a product, and we're selling it for free.
Sure.
Jesus. How can people ever buy your product if they don't know your product exists? How can people ever respond to your offering of the product, that is,
Sure.
if they never hear of a come to us type advertisement or
Sure.
anything of that nature? As a business owner, I will target, say for instance, my social media advertisement. When I plan out my social media advertisement, I go in and I target certain groups of people that I want to hit.
Sure.
You know, I want people to respond to my Facebook post if they are like other lighting or media companies, because they're obviously involved in that and understand something about it. It's the same thing with church, and it's go right back to the culture thing, understanding where you're at and where you want to go, and enhancing both, making both happen. And you can do that at once. But yeah, they got to know that you have your product, or they'll never respond. They got to know that they can find Jesus here in order for them to come find Jesus here.
Sure. So let me ask you this. What would be considered church media? And in the same token, what does Church Nerds, your company, what does that do for a church? So I would say here at New Life, one of the things that we consider media would be our sound department, our lighting department, our live streaming department, our computers, which we call our media, which would handle our lyrics on our screens, handle all the videos and the graphics that we would put up. Those are just some things that we would do here at New Life in our worship department. Are those some of the things that you are working with, and some of the things that most churches would consider media? And if there's other things, please share that with us.
Yeah, so it's all really about the size of the church. You know, your smaller churches encompass everything in one. And, you know, as your churches get larger, they tend to get more staff in certain areas, or staff/volunteers. Like in your sound, they may have 5 sound men, and 2 of them are on staff. So they'll kind of break that apart for more of a detailed development. Because it's hard for, you know, once you get to that point, you want somebody who understands that to really take that, and, you know, to have it all under one is good for smaller as you're building, but eventually you'll venture that out. But yeah, it's basically anything that can be used to, one, enhance the atmosphere, and 2, to help deliver the content of the service, or what we call the medium in which the message travels. So anything that those 2 things, the atmosphere touches and the content touches, falls under the kind of the media cloud here.
Sure.
So it's all a matter of you know, figuring out again where you want to go, and then you narrow in and home in on that one area inside that cloud. So one of the raindrops coming out of the cloud will be screens.
Sure.
And that is something that, you know, as a church nurse, we do it all: sound, media, lighting, and video equipment, and helping churches all over the country this year. And we can help you with anything, but you know, we kind of deal with small budget. It's kind of where we found ourselves in West Virginia. There was no true company that dealt with small budgets. Every time the local companies went into a place, they just want a little bit of lighting, they come out with a $10,000 bid.
Right.
And the church had $2,000.
Right.
So I kind of came into that thing where, how can we offer the same equipment, but lower, and still give them the same type of service and things like that.
Sure.
So that's where we came from. And starting to work on doing some training events and things of that nature too. But yeah, media is basically anything that
Enhances the service.
enhances the service or touches the content of the service.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that I did with Pastor when I interviewed here a long time ago, I told him that my job was to see to it that his job was easy. And the reason I said that is because my job as a worship pastor is to enhance the service, to get the service to a point where when he walks up to the pulpit, he's ready to go and the people are ready to go. And that's the same message that I have portrayed through our entire team. Is our job is to prepare the way, so to speak, and to make pastor's job easy, or whoever the speaker is for that moment in our service, make their job easy because the people's hearts are prepared. And I believe that part of media plays a big role in that, because if the lighting is right, if the screens are right, if the words are correct, if that stuff is correct and that thing is spot on, then that is another part of enhancing and making the person who's about to speak and share the gospel of Jesus Christ, it makes that so much
Yes.
easier.
One of the things that we have to watch in media is the Spirit is always moving. Our job is to make sure that it's traveling on the smoothest, nicest paved,
Sure.
straightest road that you can go, no detours, no bumps. But you have to understand that we are the ones who are helping prepare that road, so
Right.
we also can damage that. There's nothing worse than, the pastor's up there and he wants a scripture, you bring up the scripture and the screen goes dark. That is a distraction that has been brought in service. Now, that could be a technical error, that could be accidentally hitting a button. I've
User
accidentally
error,
hit
right.
buttons on Purpose Center myself.
Mhm.
I have accidentally muted pastor when he's up here preaching, and I have hit the mute button. And I'm like, why did he go, why did it stop? And I realized I hit the button, so I button. It's important that we understand that we can help the atmosphere, we can hurt the atmosphere.
Right.
One of that comes into play, pay attention to what kind of backgrounds are you going to use? Fast, slow? Are they distracting or are they not? It goes down to the worship type. You got to understand the worship your congregation can respond to. And if you want changes, you ease it in. It's the same thing in media. If you want changes in the media, you ease it in. The overnight, the dark to light kind of deal and changes, it can cause culture shocks. It can cause a lot of standoffishness in people.
Just a big distraction.
It is, and then churches have split because of media. They
Right.
have split because of updates in technology. Never, if that happens, something's wrong.
Right.
So you approach things with first, it all goes back to understanding the culture within the current setting of the church and what culture you want to reach into, what you want to go get, and properly being able to merge those. And then you can find out, well, we can use this type of media, we can use this type of backgrounds,
Right.
we can do this type of lighting. Black walls are,
Almost
churches
taboo.
churches have split because of black
Really
walls
is.
before.
It really is.
So black walls do have a purpose. They do help. They deepen the stage.
But you don't have to have them
You don't
to be
have to have
successful.
them.
Right.
Put a light on your white wall,
Mhm.
and your white wall now becomes like
Whatever
a
color.
screen.
Yeah.
A simple $100 wash light, and you have a big, beautiful, bold color wall that now you've brought in technology into the church, and it's a simple way to don't run your
And
faders
inexpensive.
all the way up.
Right.
If you introduce lighting, maybe don't run that super bright light at 100%. Maybe we start at 33%.
Right.
There's ways to do it, but you got to understand that everything that we do is seen by every person,
Mhm.
and every person will respond to what they see. How many times have you been in a sound booth, something go wrong? What happens? Everybody turns around to look at who's in the sound booth.
One of the things that I've used here with our team and for the church is I don't use the word change. And people that know me for years know that I don't use the word change. I use the word adjustment. And the root word to adjustment is add. So a lot of times I'll tell people when we're making adjustments here, like in our sanctuary, is not that we're changing anything. It's the fact that we are making some adjustments and we're adding to what we already done. A lot of people seem to be a lot more calmer and cool with adjusting something as opposed to changing something. So maybe that's some language that some of you can use to help in your situation. But let me ask you this. Where do you see media going in the future church? Where are we headed? I mean, I can see the past 10 years where we have come. As a worship pastor, I've tried to be on a cutting edge of a lot of things myself for the past 20 years. But the last 10 years technology has been amazing. And especially, I would say, over the past 3 years, especially, we have seen a whole lot of changes, a word I don't use, but in the technology, a lot of changes that they have made so that we can make the proper adjustments in our church. But where do you see the church media-wise over the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, if you look at the American culture right now, it's everything is internet-based. Everything is about having it here, in
Sure.
the palm of your hand. Church is going here. You look at people like Elevation and how they've mastered, up to this point, the remote campus, and how they have millions of people who tune in monthly to their services. I even watch them. There's churches going out now that there
So
is
a
no
shout out to Elevation Worship. Hey, Pastor Stephen, we love you, man.
church nerds, thechurchnerd.com. You want that inclusive feel. So just like we prepare the atmosphere for everybody here to be included in what we're doing on the stage, so they don't feel separated. You want the same thing if you do it online.
Right.
So what do? You create a faux stage. You create the same type of atmosphere, except you just don't have the people in the crowd. So the technology will still need to be there.
Sure.
Lighting to light the person on the camera to record the person. You know, the soundboard to take in the sound and disperse it to where it needs to go to the camera, to the producing room, all those places. The technology, who knows?
Well, like, for example, we're talking about Elevation, which is one of the countries and one of the world-renowned ministries right now. Shout out to Chris Brown and Matt Brock, love you guys. Anyways, but then I have a friend of mine who's pastors a small church in southern West Virginia, Pastor Seth Klein, and he has turned into technology by using Facebook Live to televise for free his services.
Yeah.
So he's doing all his services Sunday morning, any special events, whatever he's got going, and they're using Facebook Live as a channel for someone who is an amazing speaker, amazing man of the word, who has a great word for the people of the world. And even though he pastors a small church in Oceana area in West Virginia, now people from all over the globe are capable of hearing this man who's got a heart of God and is on fire for God. So I love where we are, but I really believe the future is endless when it comes to technology. Cheaper. And it gets cheaper.
We went through that phase where it got more expensive. And now it's coming back off to where it's less expensive to almost free. Facebook Live is replacing companies like Livestream and Ustream and all them that charge you $50, $60, $70 a month to host your service.
If not more, depending on the size of your
congregation. You got a company out there called Teradek. They make the video box. The video box attaches to your camera. It's a black box. You log into Facebook right on that box, and when you're ready to go live to Facebook, you hit the red button. And what you're getting in that camera, you want to run your audio into it. It goes no service, no monthly fee, one-time box. Because everybody was going to that monthly fee area.
And it's high definition.
It's high definition.
And if you use that box with your audio, you're getting direct audio, so you're getting as good of a service as you would anyplace else.
That's one word of advice is do not just settle for anything the first time you see it. Shop around and you'll find that if there's a subscription-based service, it may be out there for free.
Good
why get into the $60 a month and have it?
Good point. That's stuff to do. It is a Wednesday night. We've got worship here shortly, and I've got to get ready. You got to get ready. But let me ask you this real quick. Does it take, this is a question that has come up from many worship leaders and also pastors who tune in. Does it take $100,000 to equip a church with media in order for them to be effective and to have an effective worship, to have an effective message, to have an effective, to be able to affect their community? Does it take that kind of money? Now, I know the answer, and you know the answer, but listen, we've just done some major renovation here, and we're talking about just tens of thousands of dollars. We've done some major stuff here. Not that you can't spend that stuff, but can churches, let's just say churches that are 250 and below. You may have churches that have 100 people or less, but they're still wanting to be able to produce some type of quality service that they can run on Facebook Live, which is free. What are things that we can do, and can that stuff be done?
Well, I mean, the mentality used to be spend more money, get a better product. That's not the mentality anymore.
Sure.
That can't be. That's not true. Yes, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do you need to? Probably not. More likely no.
Because that's been the mentality for pastors is, in order for us to go that direction, I've got to have $100,000 minimum to be able to dump in this.
Look at HD cameras. We've got 3 of them here. People used to drop $10,000, $15,000 to get these type of cameras. There's $700 cameras out there that international television is being recorded on.
Sure.
So no, you don't have to. Here's what you need to do. When you have a need in front of you, when you have a project, you need to find your free, if possible, good, better, best scenarios, and then look at the features. You don't buy for the nail, you buy to fulfill the nail, but to also supply the future.
Prepare for the future, right.
So you never buy the piece of technology that can only do what you need to do now. Like a soundboard, we're looking at new soundboards. We know how many channels we need now. Well, we're at that threshold to where we can get a board that has that many channels, but then you have no room to grow.
Right.
So everything that you do in technology is investment. Look at it as investment. What can I do in the future? Is there going to be a rate of return? Rate of return in churches is basically years used.
Right.
So that's your rate of return
Sure.
in a church. So sometimes you do have to step up from a $1,200 projector to a $2,200 projector. You need to look at all the features of everything you want to do.
And that's just depending on size of building, size of congregation,
When you shop,
what all you're wanting to do.
when you shop, you will begin to see that a lot of this stuff that everybody recommends, is high-end stuff, is full of a lot of stuff, a lot of features that would be great for a lot of places. But do you need them?
Right. There you go.
So why are you paying for something you don't need? Why would I go buy a school bus when I just need a minivan?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I imagine the gas one going to upkeep in a school bus. There's upkeep in all your equipment as well.
So that brings us to this, and this was not a serious plug. We've been joking around about Elevation and a couple of worship leaders that I know, and told people that you belong to this church, you're part of this church.
Mm-hmm.
But on a serious note, you do also own a business called Church Nerds. I think the name's kind of unique. What can churches do to contact you if they want you to come and maybe see their facility, maybe give them a proposal, work with them on coming up with something, or maybe to be able to email back and forth, whatever? Can you tell us the best ways for people to communicate with you? Because there'll be thousands of people that'll be watching this video, and I want them to be able to reach out to you for whatever needs or questions they may have.
You can go to thechurchnerds.com and you can find me there. All my contact, there's a form there you can fill out to contact me. You can call our offices at 304-397-8200, and we can get you there. But yeah, we'd love to help and guide. You know, we usually end up saving churches money. There's been many a project came to us and they showed us the bid, and you know, we come in half or 30% lower or half of it. So you know, there's no point in all. This is back to the shop around thing.
And plus, you're an owner operator, which helps the situation. You not only own the company, but you have been educated in this, so you're actually doing a lot of the work, which also helps in overhead.
The church market, if you talk to the manufacturers, a lot of the products out here, the church market is it's untapped. And so there's a lot of companies that have been doing sound and stuff for years that are trying to get into a church division, but they don't understand church.
Sure.
You know, I've been in church since '98, been a licensed minister since 2001. We bring a lot to the table of understanding of how this stuff will be applied, not just, oh, that's a great speaker, use it. Well, that's a great speaker, but it don't fit your model,
right?
Fit your church. So, and we're also getting ready to launch a church planting division. So we're going to do solutions for church planters, because there's only one or two companies out there, and they're very high dollar companies.
Something like a traveling rig and something like that?
Yeah, there'll be cases full of equipment, so you'll buy a sound case full of nice equipment, JBL speakers, things like that, and you can still get cheaper than just going out and buying it yourself, and you get a nice packed up case. I'm working with a manufacturer out of Arkansas who's going to make those for us. So that's something to come. So if you're a church planter, you're going to be planting, look into that as well.
Awesome, Barry. I appreciate it, man. We love you around here. We thank God for you, man. You're a blessing to us. Let Him be a blessing to you guys as well. Listen, again, this is AC Cordell with Creative Worshipers Videocast, and we hope that this has been some quality information for you. Again, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to give us a call or email us, and we'd be glad to put you in contact with Barry as well. We love you. God bless you.